Hey guys, what's up? John here from fly8mikealpha.com coming at you for another 2-Minute Tuesday. Today our topic is how do you choose a good altitude to fly at through a mountain pass or near mountains? So do you want to be above them, below them, in between them? What do you want to do? Do you want to be close to them, far away? So let's go ahead and take a look at how I choose a safe altitude to fly up through a mountain pass based on the wind, based on the clouds, based on a number of factors. Let's take a look. What are the ingredients? What do we need to have mountain wave turbulence occur? Well, for starters, obviously we need mountains, and then we need some wind, and we need relatively stable air so that that wind can blow in a relatively straight line, not up or down, until it hits the mountain, and the mountain is going to cause that air to, of course, blow up one side and down the other. Now, what is mountain wave turbulence? What are mountain waves? It's ultimately the air flowing over the mountain being disturbed and being lifted up and then being sucked back down, and it creates lots of very interesting cloud formations and lots of very interesting air currents downstream of the mountains. What we'll see when we're flying out there are these interesting cloud formations, including rotor clouds and lenticular clouds, and they can be quite high above the mountains and quite far downstream of them. If the air is very stable, those waves can continue for up to 600 miles downwind of the mountain range. And with really strong winds, big tall mountains, and very stable air, they've even been measured all the way up to 200,000 feet high into the upper atmosphere. Now, luckily for us, the air typically is not that stable, the mountain's not that perfect, and the wind not that strong, so we're not going to get these extreme circumstances as we just talked about. However, near mountains, we're still going to get some bad weather, some bad turbulence associated with that. And how can we detect the signs of that? Well, like we said, we're going to get rotor clouds and lens-shaped clouds, and in this video here, we can actually see some rotor clouds off in the distance. Those rotor clouds are the ones that form relatively even with the tops of the mountains. So as you guys probably saw on our vlog channel, Flying Through Alaska, when we came up to this mountain pass here, how did we decide to fly between 2,500 feet and 3,000 feet? Well, I was looking at the clouds, and we can see all these different cloud formations at the tips of the mountains. So we can see there's obviously some wind up there, and it's creating some rotor-type clouds. We also knew we had about a 20-knot headwind, so the winds were about 20 knots aloft. We also knew that because of the winds aloft forecast we had checked before we took off. So with really steep peaks like these, with about 20 to 25 knot winds, and not super stable air, but not super unstable air either, I was expecting the ride at the mountain tops, even with the mountain tops and above them, to be pretty darn rough, because you're going to get a lot of that rotor activity, a lot of that swirling around right at the tops of the mountains. About halfway up the mountain, you're not going to get as much of that. You still run the risk of getting downdrafts and getting pushed down, but with about 2,000 to 3,000 feet above the ground, that should give you enough time to sort out a problem like that and maybe turn around, tuck tail, and run. The problem with flying just 50 feet above the ground down here is you're going to get back into the mechanical turbulence. So you're going to get at the ground level gusts of wind that range between 5 knots and probably 30-some knots if the winds are 20-something up high, because the wind will get sucked down different valleys and crevices down the mountains, and you'll get little bursts of wind. So it'll be calm in some places and very windy in others. And that will create a lot of mechanical turbulence along with just a lot of wind shear that'll rock you around. And so in this particular case, I chose this 2,500 to 3,000 foot block, giving me just about 1,000 or so feet below the mountain tops, about 500 to 1,000 feet below the tops, but still well above the ground below me. And of course also chose to slow down well below maneuvering speed in case we did get rocked around. Initially we approached these mountains a little bit higher, we were at about 3,500 or so, and we got hit pretty hard by some of that confused air. So as you can see the air flowing around this hangar here, we know that it's not just pure downdrafts on the backside of the mountain, it's very confused updrafts, downdrafts, and in this particular case, we actually got hit by a large updraft that bounced the airplane up, that increased lift drastically on the airplane, and then went away quickly, and so it quickly pushed everything up, threw us up into the ceiling, and then as it went away, of course, the airplane dropped just a little bit. We knew even before that happened just by looking at the clouds, and by the headwind we had as we were approaching the mountains, knowing that we were coming in on the downwind side of the mountains, that we were going to be in for some turbulence, so we started slowing down a little bit earlier, which helped. Overall, your clues are this, right? You want to be about halfway or so up the mountain if it's really windy. If it's extremely windy, you don't want to be anywhere near mountains, period. When you start to see rotor clouds and lens-shaped clouds, you know the air is stable and there's going to be very extreme turbulence even with the mountaintops and certainly above them. If there's enough wind to make those rotor clouds and lens-shaped clouds, there's probably enough mechanical turbulence slightly below the tops of the mountains too to give you a really rough ride as well. Like we said earlier, some of that wind will follow the backsides of these mountains and create very strong winds at the surface that are magnified as they get squeezed and compressed by different valleys and little passages through these mountains. That makes flying at very low altitudes not a great idea either. I'm certainly not saying that going 2,500 to 3,000 feet is going to prevent any sort of turbulence or prevent downdrafts, but it's going to mitigate them, or at least give you enough room to have some time to figure out what's going to happen when you hit a 2 or 3 or 4,000 foot a minute downdraft. At the end of the day, I try to avoid passes like these when the winds are over 20 or 25 knots. Once I start seeing 30 or 40 knots winds aloft, I really don't want to mess with this stuff because you can get some really nasty turbulence that can easily rip the wings off the airplane, or, I know that's what we're always concerned about, is ripping the wings off the airplane, but oftentimes the horizontal stabilizer might fail as well and then the wings rip off later. But oftentimes when you have a mid-air breakup of an airplane, the horizontal fails before the wings do. Either way, stay well below maneuvering speed, don't approach mountains when the winds are really blowing, and use all your clues as to whether or not the air is stable, unstable. Unstable is actually better, and then the clouds as well as the wind speed, judging by your GPS for wind as well as the forecast. Any questions on this at all? You guys know what to do. Leave it in the comments right below. Check out the online ground school at flyatmikealpha.com and check out the brand new vlog channel, Flying All Around Alaska. Lots of real-world practical scenarios in the weather, showing you how we make decisions and how we're able to pick our way through both IFR and VFR conditions to get to where we want to go in some pretty rough terrain. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Hit that like button and also hit that little bell right next to the subscribe button so you keep up with our latest episodes. You'll get updates right when we publish new videos. And subscribe to that new vlog channel as well. You'll be able to follow us all the way from Alaska, all the way through the lower 48 in Canada, down to Florida as we make our journey over the next few months through the lower 48. I know I went over the 2 minutes on this, but hopefully it was worth it for you guys. And remember, if you can't fly every day, then fly 8mikealpha.com. We will see y'all next time.